storms are a way of life in Oklahoma. You're always kind of watching the weather and watching the weather forecast and those types of things in order to prepare the best you can. The bottom line is every now and then a storm like this last one pops up. And when it does, even though you feel like you've got everything set and everything ready, it's still a little nerve-wracking because they can be so powerful. So we are moving the goats again. As the herd grows, it's getting more and more difficult to get them to come immediately. You can see these are strung out way down there. So that's kind of how it is with cattle. The cattle, what happens is they learn to move based on what they hear and what they see is going on. So if you focus on the first little group, the leaders, the tail enders will be, I'm missing out on something. So that's what they do. They just can't take it. That's where you can use their greediness against them. Or not necessarily against them, but to help you. So it's very early, it's still a little dark, but they're coming. We've kind of had an interesting last couple of days. We had a storm, a very interesting storm. There's a weather guy that was doing the weather out of Sherman, Texas. I think his name's Steve Lenore, so you can look him up, Channel 12, I believe. But he was talking about the storm that was coming. And he was calling it a supercell. And a supercell is what usually produces one of those gigantic tornadoes. And they were saying that if this storm produces something, it's going to be big. That sucker turned and went to the right and kept hooking to the right and south. And so I told Lisa, I said, that thing is headed right for us. It's going to end up coming right at us. And so that's when we're really watching this Steve Lenore, and he's talking about the storm. And it wasn't a front that comes through normally, that you see a line coming across the country and it's developing storms as it goes along. It was a single supercell storm. And he said he measured that thing from one end to the other, and it was like 61 miles wide. During that time, it was throwing tornadoes, and every time they were saying this part of it spinning, I mean, you would look at the map and it would be like a 5-10 mile wide area was turning and spinning, so it was terrifying. And it ended up not producing anything big as far as twisters, but it produced a lot of probably little twisters for it. And I think we had some come through here. We lost power for a solid, 10 hours or so. I haven't found any animals that got in trouble. So as I'm moving the goats through here, I'm noticing that they seem tired to me. Well, I imagine they were up. Because it rained buckets. I think we got about 3 inches. The creek was rolling there where we kind of drive across every day to get to the ranch. It was one of those scenarios where it was just, you were just concerned everything was going to be messed up. Lucky for us, we've got a Frady hoe, storm cellar, hidey hoe, a run and hide. But we've got one of those for us. My clock says we've been in here for 5 minutes. Oh yeah, there it comes. Bam, bam. Ain't you're as bad as mommy. Just relax. Relax. She was doing just fine until she saw I put the chains on the deal. Then she was like, oh no, we're not gonna be able to get those. We're not gonna be able to get those off. Whoa, that's big hell. That's a roar. It's like, you see it dying down? It's thunder. Let's see if a big drop of hail. Oh, there it goes. That's big hail right there. Here comes the hail, baby. Oh, God. Is there anything out? Oh, man. You know, we've had storms come through before where we feel like we had everything set. And I'm specifically thinking about the flood that came through. I thought I had all the cattle up on the hill, and I pretty much did. When that flood hit, we had some that didn't quite come to the hill, which means they were in the bottom, which means they were swimming. You know, and if you don't get all of those cattle or all of those goats to high ground and they drown, I mean, you could be out of business in one fell swoop. So there's quite a bit riding on it. I didn't think we had any electrical damage as far as lines and things like that, but I was just tootling through here and I just about hit this piece right here. And I was like, well, that's got to be off of a pole. You can see where that thing broke. It's not a danger issue yet, but I'll call the electric company and tell them. And then that way they can come and get that fixed up and prevent something from happening. Right now, I imagine they still have their bolt pretty full, trying to get everything caught back up. Well, here's another victim. As you can see, this tree has already had some issues. It got hit by lightning years ago and split right down the middle. It's an old tree, just to give you the idea of the size. Well, here's another victim of the storm. It just so happens that if you go from this tree and go straight over that ridge, you hit those other trees that are down. And look there. I don't know if you can see that or not, or if I'm even pointing at it through the camera, but there's a broken limb right there. So I guarantee you that was some sort of twister that was coming up and down and breaking things off as it went, because there's nowhere that way and there's nowhere that way to the right. So definitely a victim, and that's a big stinking tree. I'll put my four-wheeler up there and give you an idea how big it is. Massive cottonwood. And it was kind of a sad deal because we had two that were out here, and it always reminded me of the Serengeti, because it was just this big open field with these two big gigantic trees. And whatever that was, I mean, it jacked it up. All the way down to the bottom. Wow. What's up, big guy? This is the same line. That looks like a hackberry tree there. Looks like there's a piece of that. Oh, that may be a hackberry also there too. And then look at this pecan right over here. God. Now see there? These are all in line. Hackberries right through there. Giant pecan right here. I mean a big one. Dang! Look at that. You know, there was definitely some spinning motion in the storm that was coming through here. We had tornado warnings to the west of us, probably 10 miles, and they continued on through our area. This could just be very strategic straight winds. I have no idea, but it's very unusual to me that the straight winds followed a path that was a small path. it wasn't like, 6 miles of straight wind. It knocks some stuff down. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily look like it twisted some stuff, but it definitely knocked them down. And I've seen a lot of tornado damage on trees. And we were actually talking about that in church on Sunday, that somebody had a couple of trees that were beside each other, and one tree was completely de-leaved and the other one looked like you didn't touch it. Now, if I saw anything like that, I would be beyond a shadow of a doubt that was a tornado. I haven't seen anything like that. I'll be going through here, and just on the same line, there'll be a big tree down here, a small tree, the top's gone there, a big tree down there, and things like that. So I don't know, but the bottom line is we got a lot of trees down. So I hate to see a tree go to waste. I don't know if hackberries have any value, but this hackberry is, I don't know. Well, maybe you can tell behind me, this is the root ball, and this is the trunk. I'm gonna guess diameter across, it's probably 4 feet maybe. Anyway, we're all alive, and we're all happy to be alive. All the animals are alive. All the fences are alive. Everything's alive, so we're glad. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time, hopefully with a happier video. And this was happy, nobody got hurt, but man, I hate to see that many trees go down. See you next time. Bye.